Today's adventure is teardown of this engine. So this is a 2007 6-liter. It had a 4L80, still has the torque converter on it because something's locked up. I was actually running the engine when it happened. Bearing started squealing like crazy. It was a junk van, so I wasn't too surprised. Started squealing, locked up tight. So cam bearing or crank or rod bearing, one of those three is what I'm expecting to find bad in here. It's got around 260,000 miles on the vehicle, so I'm guessing that's how much is on the engine. So it kind of needs a refresh anyways. Since it's locked up, I can't get the torque converter off, and this is a almost new torque converter, so I don't want to damage it. So I'm going to disassemble the block on the floor so I can get the crankshaft out, and then I'll be able to mount it on a stand. So you're going to get to see me struggle on the floor today trying to wrestle this thing, take it all apart. So I haven't cheated and looked inside this thing yet, so we're going to find out together if it's nasty or not. It's pretty good. Take a look inside the valve cover. Someone definitely changed the oil on this thing. Doesn't indicate much about the motor, but it's always good to check the push rods, see if they have any wear on them. All you're doing is looking at the tips, seeing if they're shiny or if they've got a brushed finish look. If they're brushed finish, they're wore out. These all look pretty good. Like I said, looks like someone really took care of this engine. If you never tore one of these down before you go too crazy on your heads, don't forget there's some little bolts down in here. They're usually buried in crud like this one is. So just clean around them. Little 10mm. There's the inside of the head. Pretty normal. Everything looks good. And down inside the bores, pretty boring in there. Just regular carbon buildup. I've been keeping this thing covered, so no rust from rain or anything like that. Good looking lifters. Go ahead and put these back in their trays for now, but I'll be replacing the trays anyways. Other head came off, pretty boring, just like the first one. I know I've mentioned it in videos before, but one of the ways to tell if a Gen 3 motor has Gen 4 rods is these bolts on this cover. If they're 13 millimeter, all the ones I've seen like that, Gen 4 rods. If they're the smaller 10 millimeter, they're usually just Gen 3 rods. That's up to 2005. 2006, 2007. Everyone I've seen has these 13 millimeter and Gen 4 rods. Now I'll try to probably lift this thing up with the hoist and then see if I can drop the crank out the bottom and see if that frees everything up. A little bit tricky here. All right, let's see what kind of treasures await us in this oil pan. Well, looks like just oil. And of course, we're still locked up tight, so on to the connecting rods. I'm gonna go ahead and break all the pistons loose. That way we can see if maybe that'll free it up or not. Not very easy working on a hanging engine like this. So I reached the limits of my struggle tolerance. So I've got the engine reconfigured, hanging by where the bell housing would be. Gives me a little bit better access down into here. So my suspicion is I've got a main bearing seized up. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen all the caps and see if it'll spin so I can get these rods off easier. So I'm gonna pull out all the cross bolts and then just loosen the main bolts. All right, caps are all loose. Let's see if she turns. And the answer is definitely not. We'll go ahead and pull one of these caps off and see if we can take a look at a bearing in here. Got somewhere, but nothing too crazy, so I think we only spun one bearing, or whatever locked this engine up. All right, reconfiguration number 3 or so. I had to roll this girl over so I could get to her easier. Just got it hanging by the engine mounts over there, or where the engine mounts used to be. So now I'm going to break these caps loose and see if that'll do anything, because I've got all the bolts loose that I can. Nothing's moving. So I'm just taking a pry bar, going to gently get under these edges over here. There's kind of a gap you can stick something in, and I'm just going to lightly get these loose just to where there's a little bit of movement. Okay. See what that does. Oh, looks like we got some movement, so that's good. So now I can take these pistons out for reels and then we'll get this crank out. Here's our Gen 4 bad boys. A little bit gooey under here, but like I said, kind of a high mileage engine. Bearings do look pretty good though, at least the ones that aren't seized up. So I think we got our culprit here. This is the thrust bearing, and it's got all kinds of glittery glue in there. So I'm pretty sure this is where we got starved a little bit. Oh yeah, this side's pretty wiped out right there. See that metal paste just on everything, look like the Tin Man. But you can see that crank journal down in there, it's just completely gray with metal. So crank might not be good, don't know. Have to measure it and then maybe take it to the machine shop. But on the plus side, everything else looks good, so the block shouldn't need to go to the shop at all. Just should be able to re-bearing everything, reseal everything, get the crank fixed, slap her all together, and make some horsepower. Let's go ahead and pull the rest of these main caps off. See if we can get it a little easier to spin. Yeah, that's not good. Definitely gonna need the crank reground or replaced, one of the two. This is all just metal goo. Well, I don't have my puller with me today to get this guy off, so that's probably where we're going to end it at. Definitely had enough fun with this one. All these main journals are pretty well smoked. Bearings are completely full of nice stuff. Second one here, that guy spun. You can see that's the parting line right there between the two bearing halves. So, might even need to have the block line honed. Thrust bearing, we saw that guy. That one's all full of metal too. And I'm sure the back one looks about the same. But hey, she spins now. You can see between these two connecting rods, there's like a bunch of metal schmoo in here. Yeah, that's not good. Well, that's it. Smell you later.